Welcome back to The Explainer. If you look at millions of rooftops around the world right now, there's this fascinating kind of silent mystery sitting right above our heads: solar panel efficiency. If you've ever actually shopped for solar, you know exactly what I mean. The spec sheets and marketing jargon are almost impossible to decipher. You just get completely bombarded with percentages and buzzwords that leave you with way more questions than answers. But today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're going to bridge the gap between complex quantum physics and the actual, tangible consumer tech you can buy in 2026. So here's the big question that almost everyone asks when they first start looking into this. Why is the average efficiency of a standard panel only hovering around 20%? Let's be honest, 20% sounds terrible, right? Like a failing grade? If your car only used 20% of its gasoline, you'd be furious. But the truth is, in the solar world, 20% is actually a massive engineering triumph. Why? Because unlike gasoline, the fuel is completely free, it's limitless, and it's delivered directly to your roof every single day. Even at just 20% efficiency, these panels capture enough energy to generate serious power for over 25 years, radically slashing your electricity bills and protecting you from those constantly rising utility costs. Okay, let's dive into this timeline to really appreciate that 20% because we have to look at how far we've actually come. You might think solar is a strictly modern invention, but the very first rooftop solar panels were installed in New York way back in 1883, and they operated at a microscopic 1% efficiency. Fast forward to the 1950s, scientists pushed that up to 6%. But look at where we are in 2026. We've got premium models hitting 24% and beyond. We have literally quadrupled the efficiency since the 50s. And every single tiny fraction of a percentage increase means more power generated from the exact same amount of roof space. But wait, if we're only at 24%, why can't we just dial it up to 100%? Well, to understand that, we've got to look at the absolute laws of physics, specifically something called the Shockley-Queisser limit. Calculated way back in 1961, this fundamental physical law proves that a standard solar cell made of a single junction of silicon has a hard mathematical ceiling, and that ceiling is roughly 33.7%. That means even if you had a mathematically perfect silicon solar panel with absolutely zero manufacturing flaws, it could never, ever convert more than 33.7% of the sun's energy into electricity. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that ceiling exists. Think of a solar panel kind of like a leaky bucket trying to catch a waterfall. The sunlight hitting the panel is made up of all different energy levels. About 19% of the sun's light simply doesn't have enough energy to knock an electron loose. It's below the silicon's band gap, so it just passes right through like a ghost. Then, for the super high energy blue light, the panel captures what it needs, but the excess energy, it's lost entirely as heat, costing us another 33%. So right out of the gate, before we even build the panel, these spectrum losses drop our maximum theoretical potential to just under 48%. Right, so knowing our absolute physical ceiling is stuck in the low 30s, the tech race of 2026 is literally all about squeezing out every last drop of power we mathematically can. And that brings us to the biggest shift the solar market has seen in years: the N-type revolution. The older P-type technology, which dominated the market for years, is pretty much officially dead. Production has plummeted to under 5% of the global market. In its place, these multi-billion-dollar engineering efforts have crowned N-type technologies, specifically ones called TOPCon and HJT, as the absolute kings of modern solar. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the actual chemistry behind the upgrade. Older P-type panels were doped with boron, but here's the fatal flaw. When boron is exposed to oxygen and sunlight, it creates defects in the silicon. This causes a phenomenon known as light-induced degradation, or LID. Actually, it's pretty ironic. The very light it needs to produce power is actively damaging it slightly, right out of the box. But the modern N-type panels, they use phosphorus doping instead. Because there is absolutely no boron, those oxygen-related defects simply do not happen. The first-year data basically tells the whole story of why the market completely abandoned the old tech. In its very first year up on your roof, an older P-type panel could lose 2.5% of its power capacity right away just from sun exposure. But look at the new N-type tech. TOPCon drops by only 0.75%, and HGT drops by a microscopic 0.5%. That massive difference in first-year degradation is exactly why legacy PERC technology has been aggressively phased out. I mean, why settle for a panel that breaks down faster when you literally don't have to? But hey, first-year losses aren't the only thing testing these panels. We absolutely have to talk about the weather. When you read a solar spec sheet, the shiny efficiency number they advertise, say 24%, is measured in a perfect climate-controlled laboratory at a crisp 25 degrees Celsius. But your roof is definitely not a laboratory. In the middle of summer, dark solar panels baking in the sun can easily reach 55 degrees Celsius, or roughly 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's the brutal truth. Extreme heat actively destroys power output. The secret here lies in something called the temperature coefficient. Notice the HJT technology. It might have a slightly lower starting efficiency in a perfect lab compared to a top-tier TOPC panel. But because HJT handles heat significantly better, meaning it has a lower temperature coefficient, it actually beats the TOPC panel in real-world energy output on a hot 55-degree rooftop. If you live in a hot desert climate, the real-world efficiency ranking of panels completely flips compared to what you see in the live brochure. Let's move to and see how this builds when we look at long-term data. In 2024, NREL, that's the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, published a massive study analyzing over 54,000 systems globally. And the data confirms exactly what we just talked about. Climate is a massive factor. Hot and dry climates accelerate long-term degradation way more than moderate temperate zones. However, the data also shows that premium N-type panels with high-quality encapsulants are fighting back beautifully. They're boasting long-term degradation rates as incredibly low as 0.35% per year, regardless of where they are installed. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful number, 92%. Thanks to the complete elimination of those boron defects and much better heat tolerance, premium N-type panels today come with warranties guaranteeing they'll retain up to 92% of their original capacity after 25 years of sitting outside in the brutal elements. Just think about what a massive engineering feat that is. When you compound that insanely low degradation rate over a quarter of a century, the financial impact is staggering. In the utility sector, retaining 92% of your capacity instead of 84% translates to literally millions of dollars in additional power generation. So, we are currently optimizing traditional silicon to the absolute bleeding edge. But wait. If a single silicon cell is mathematically hard-capped at a 33.7% limit, how does the industry continue to grow in the future? How do we break the fundamental rules of physics? The answer is brilliantly simple. We change the rules. We are entering the highly anticipated era of the multi-junction tandem cell. So the crucial point is that instead of relying on just one material to catch all the sunlight, tandem cells rely on teamwork. In a tandem cell, engineers place a specialized, highly efficient material called perovskite right on top of a standard silicon cell. The perovskite top layer is perfectly tuned to gobble up the high-energy blue and green light, while just letting the rest pass right through. Then, the silicon bottom layer catches the lower-energy red and infrared light. By splitting the solar spectrum between two highly specialized materials, we completely bypass that single-junction bottleneck altogether. And honestly, the results of this tandem approach are absolutely mind-blowing. In April 2025, an NREL certified lab record was set at 34.85% efficiency. Think about that for a second. That number officially shatters the theoretical Shockley-Queisser limit for silicone. The impossible barrier has literally been broken in the lab. And the absolute best part? Major manufacturers have already opened pilot factories and are aggressively moving this tandem technology out of the lab and into the commercial market right now as we speak. So look at the journey. We've gone from a microscopic 1% efficiency in the 1880s to highly optimized 24% N-type silicon panels today, and we are now standing on the very precipice of commercial tandem panels that completely defy the old limits of physics. So as this incredible technology inevitably makes its way from massive utility-scale farms down to our own residential neighborhoods, it leaves us with one thrilling question to end on. When the time comes to power your home, will your roof be the one to break the Shockley-Queisser limit? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.